All right, more now on our top story and the conflict in Libya, a country split between two rival governments. The UN-recognized administration is based in the capital, Tripoli. Western nations, including the US and Italy, recognize this government, as do Qatar and Turkey. The Tripoli administration manages $80 billion in oil revenues and foreign reserves. The other government is in Tobruk, and it's supported by warlord Khalifa Haftar. And Haftar has the backing of Egypt, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. France and some other Western nations are also accused of providing military support to Khalifa Haftar. Well, let's now speak to Ibrahim Fraihat, who is an associate professor of conflict resolution at the Doha Institute. Thank you so much for being with us. I imagine, Ibrahim, you're not surprised by this report of armed French diplomats trying to cross the border from from Libya into Tunisia. What would they have been doing in Libya?
Yeah, it's not surprising to see some French involvement in this crisis because the French position was clear from day one. However, to see that there are armed diplomats in Libya, that was a bit surprising this morning, is to hear this news about going back to Tunisia. And the French explanation to it that they're security guards for the ambassador, who's based in Tunisia, not in Libya, which I think, in my view, made things worse, because if they're the security guards of the ambassador, what are they doing in Libya? So the extent of the French involvement in this, now it's being taken to another level, because it was believed to be...
It was no secret that the French backed Khalifa Haftar. I mean, he traveled to Paris, was received at the Élysée Palace, that rolled out the red carpet for him there. But what is the extent of French support? Is it advice? Is it military support? What sort of support are they providing to Khalifa Haftar?
We know now that it's not just diplomatic in the Security Council or in the political positions, as the early statements made by French diplomats that no need for military intervention. So with this happening this morning about the French diplomats, armed French diplomats, I think we are talking about a new level of providing security advice or security consultants, what they're called generally, which is another way of direct military involvement, but not to the level that would, at least for now, talking about like direct heavy military involvement in Libya. So that's concerning, especially for the other.
It's interesting,
European
though.
players.
I mean, because these countries, whether it's France or the countries that back the UN-backed government in Tripoli, they all call for a ceasefire, and behind the scenes, there's something completely different going on. They're backing rival sides in this conflict. Is there a Western double game going on in Libya?
Well, the Haftar diplomats are not calling for a ceasefire. I mean, France is not. But, however, no, the other...
But they're calling, nonetheless, for a diplomatic solution to the conflict.
Well, even for this, I mean, France is not very clear about this in the last few days, since this operation at least started 12 days ago, that France became less clear on this. Like, unlike the British position, for example, who presented a draft resolution in the Security Council calling for a political settlements. And also the American positions, David Satterfield making statements for political arrangements between the conflicting parties, so that's something different. In order, I mean, the fact that we're not seeing a serious movement from the Western bloc on this actually suggests that a chance or time has been given to Haftar implicitly, as you said, is that in order to to end this. But the fact is that Haftar is not making this progress, or that he promised to make 12 days after the operation started, because with the advantages that he had with the surprise attack and several spots that he gained, like in the city of Riyadh.
The march on Tripoli is not going as it planned, you think. But why would he then? What's his motivation in attacking the capital instead of capitalizing on the gains that it had until now?
Haftar, by the way, has shown absolutely no interest in the international position, in the international engagement in this, or in a political settlement in this. Haftar sees himself that he's going to take the country by force, regardless of the cost, as long as there are other players who are willing to pay the cost. And his visit to Riyadh 2 days before he started this operation is an indicator of this. So Haftar was able to convince them, and they're convinced, and especially a country like France that was convinced that he could take over the Tripoli, the capital, in a few days. I mean, this is outrageous because the gains that he made in the first 72 hours of the operations, he lost all of them.
Is it possible for him to retreat from Tripoli without losing standing?
His operation is not doing well at all. Actually, it made much worse than planned or expected, because he had several spots like the airport, Gate 27, city of Gherian. He lost all of them. So now we started to see a different type of thing, like the news you presented early, shelling inside Tripoli, which is an indicator of that things are not going well.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Ibrahim Fraihat, joining us here in the studio.